I want to do a little video blog here about a story that we broke, known as the Bouncy Castle tragedy here in Harlow. And if I put it in Americanese, it sort of validated what we aim to do, but also maybe resonated with some of the issues in journalism, in local journalism, here in 2016. We started your Harlow in July 2013 on the back of a grant from the Carnegie Trust. I, under the umbrella of my company Hyperlocal News Limited, had been running Your Thurrock since September the 1st, 2008. Carnegie Trust competition, neighbourhood news. Do you know an area it doesn't get enough news? I've been running Your Thurrock actually from my office here in Harlow, which is 27 miles down the road. But I thought I could answer that question of, do you know an area it doesn't get enough news, with the answer of yes. Not that we can compete totally with the one newspaper that was left, the Harlow Star, just that we could add to the mosaic, especially when you consider that when we started Your Thurrock in September the 1st, 2008 from my office here in Harlow, Harlow had 3 newspapers: the Harlow Citizen, the Harlow Herald and Harlow Star. Harlow Citizen, which was a pale shadow of the paper that people had grown up with, or people my age, 54, had grown up with, finished in 2008. The Harlow Herald, which I think was an Archant paper, but I could be wrong, went I think in 2010, and the Harlow Star, at that time of us making the application, the bid, was still thriving in Harlow. A couple of years after we successfully started Your Harlow, the Harlow Star moved out of Harlow and is now, I believe, in Hertford, which is around 10 miles. But I'm not going to go down the line of the complicated local world, Trinity Mirror story, journey, call it what you will. So where were we? Yes, and that's really where Your Harlow started. So we were one of the successful 5. We started Your Harlow in July 2013, and I've been developing it ever since. Really, one person in this little office running 2 newspapers, 2 online newspapers. With a time divider really 80-20. Your Thurrock has grown and grown. But I wanted to get to the subject of the Bouncy Castle story and way we reported it and what it meant in many ways. So, late April 2016, it's a Saturday afternoon. Usually I'm out and about at one of the football games. I have 6 teams to cover in both areas, but on this occasion I decided to work from home and report from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock on the 6 different teams. About 3:45 I got a phone call from a source who said to me, "Michael, I think something's happened in the Harlow Town Park, and I think you may want to come down. It seems to be some accident with a bouncy castle at the local fair." And I thought, oh, I know the local fair. It's a small fair, but my family, my family have been there on the Good Friday. So there, of course, this is now Easter Saturday. So I did. It's not complicated local journalism, or it shouldn't be local journalism, in the idea that go A to B. Man rings up, says you should go down to a job. Job is 2 miles away. Get in car, go to car park car, get a pay and display, and start walking towards the location. And then it's very much what we do. And I guess I did my job. And I think one thing you like to impress upon people, because of this word hyperlocals, that we're not amateurs, not shamateurs. Sometimes I get concerned, and I'm digressing slightly, that citizen journalists there's a danger citizen journalists could be a little bit like citizen heart surgeons, and that's a little concern, that I would not turn up to Princess Alexandra Hospital, although today's the day of the junior doctor strike in Harlem, and say, hey, listen, I'd like to have a little bit of a go at heart surgery. Likewise, there's a concern in journalism that people set up, and do they really know all the rules? Well, there's a lot of rules, and I think we all do. And so it's one of these jobs you turn up, and I can see there's the fair, and around 150 metres, is paramedics, etc. Now, it's just very much reporting. As I film, as you can see now, I film, where do I stand? Well, I think 100 metres away, 80 metres away is appropriate. Let my camera roll and take it from there. As you know, there's a big gulf between what I'm filming and what I'm actually going to publish. Likewise, you tweet something pretty vanilla at Harlow Town Park, appears to have been an incident, more follows. Then it's pretty appropriate if you're, with common sense, which I have a little bit of, but don't test me, but also judgment and good taste. I think looking at the paramedics, etc., you're thinking, this looks like a serious incident. Then you've got to make the judgment call: do I ring the East of England Ambulance Press Office, because this is an Easter and it's serious or major cases only, and I'm not about to approach the scene. But I do make a judgment call. I do. And they do get back to me, as when they get back to me, you can tell that this is a serious incident. I then speak to the sources. I saw my source, who I've known for a number of years. I also explain to anybody, because somebody asked from the local petting zoo, which is nearby, who am I, what am I filming? And you explain, you don't go off, be all abrasive. You say, hi, I'm a journalist reporting the news, and if you want my card or credentials, you can have them. Then there's a point, when you've got the statement from the ambulance service, is you're going to make the judgment call to ring. Are you going to ring the police? Because the police are there, and also the point: when do I stop? When do I go home? And I did, went back to this office and see what I've got, then putting the story up, because this is rolling news. I've already put the tweet out. I need to back the tweet out with some form of copy. I've already rung the Essex Police, and again, you're very conscious. You don't want to be the journalist that cries wolf. You're going to ring them. You're looking for the duty press officer in serious or major incidents. But I decided to make that judgment call because from the ambulance service, from their statement that I got from them, that it was a serious incident. Police rang, and as opposed to getting the duty press officer, you've got the chief inspector to the control room, who says, you're ready for your statement, and was ready for the statement. And tragically, the 7-year-old girl had died. You've then got the story to publish, you've got the film to publish. You then have some judicious editing to do, which again, my wife, who is the common sense department, said there's a little couple of seconds there that is, do people need to see that from where we are? And the answer was no. So we judiciously edit, put the story up, and then we get a lot of traffic, and the traffic just increased and increased and increased. And then you have from 9 o'clock in the evening Sky ring, and they're interested in your film and your footage and getting the story, etc., etc. And then over the next 3 or 4 days, so from a little hyperlocal who answered the question from Carnegie Trust, do you know it doesn't get enough news? We reported that news, and everybody, from Sky and BBC and ITV to all the nationals to ABC New York, German documentary series, Australian Mumsnet. All these people contacted us regarding our footage, etc. And in many ways, the pressure is on to make sure you've done a professional job, that you haven't left yourself exposed, because then, this is your copy, this is your film, this is your reportage. You really want to make sure that you've done exactly the right thing. But also as a Harlow resident, and as a father and as a grandfather, that's the difference in hyperlocal, is you have some connection with where you are. And even though you call yourself grassroots, I was grassroots both figuratively, being an online hyperlocal newspaper in the area of Harlow, but also there I am in this field, the Harlow Town Park, with my feet in the ground, with my feet getting wet, and looking at this place where just 24 hours previously, my 7-year-old granddaughter had been playing on a bouncy castle, and it just, the whole thing encapsulated what grassroots hyperlocal local reporting is about, is that connection. As well as you're doing your professional job, doing the job. But I guess the key point, and I've whittled on here at length, and I'll hopefully judiciously edit, is a couple of days later I rang my source, and I wasn't looking to get bigged up, because I can do that job on my own. And I just said, did you ring us first? He said, yes, the only person I rang. I said, why was that? And he said, well, Michael, I thought you'd turn up. And that in many ways again, to use the American Eid, validated what we did, validated why Carnegie placed faith in us, and why people like Will Perrin, it said, well, he looked at your Thark and the filming we do, and it is immediate, and it's immediate, and we do it and we put it up. And this was the same thing. So one of the first things we did was email Carnegie and speak to them and say thank you very much for placing your faith in us. And we felt that after having reported news every single day since July the 1st, 2013, but this somewhere along the line synthesized everything that we aimed to do, as well as showing respect. But because it was, do you know an area it doesn't report enough news, and it was very much, you're the ones who would have turned up, and there's a local paper that had left the area, still there as a name, that didn't report it until maybe at least 9 hours, 24 hours, between 9 and 24 hours later. Didn't turn up on that day. No, that's for them to answer why, and then you speak to someone like the BBC, where it wasn't so long ago they had these offices around, say around Essex, and no staff available, they said. So it's not blaming anybody, it's just saying that's the landscape. And when you look at recent works, that publications about news mapping, and I'm just reading the Michael Moore piece on news mapping, is that's simply what we did there, and I think I think that's what we did. What is my conclusion? I read a lot of stuff and think this is pretty straightforward to do, what we do, and in many ways it's motivated me to start. I'm going to be starting a series of films called the Hyperlocal Bible, on YouTube or Vimeo, depends. Really documenting how you can do this, how we can do what. Start an online newspaper, and take it from there, using all that's available, whether it's this film or not, or whether it's writing. But how do you do it? Because you see, yes, I know some people have written stuff, but I want something that gets a lot more focus, a lot more publicity, a lot more access. So that and I try and be as straightforward as possible. Me looking to camera, saying this is what you can do, etc. So whether I make 10 films or 100 films, I'd like to think that I'll do them, and there'll be. It's more or less my version of for Hyperlocal of when I have a problem on Final Cut when I'm editing. I think how do I do voiceover again, because I've got no editing suite, and I go to YouTube and there's a little chap who's saying, hello, good afternoon, here's a film on doing voiceover on Final Cut. Fantastic. Now, where's the equivalent of that? Hello, good afternoon, here's how you run an online newspaper. And so maybe I'm that little chap. So that's what I'm going to do. So in conclusion, because you turned up, and I think who's going to help? I think there could be more help in making sure, helping filling those gaps in people to turn up. And I think my last point is I was last Tuesday, a week ago, whenever that was, I was up at Westminster with Impress, with press regulation, and 4 other hyperlocals, where we presented to John Whittingdale, the Culture Secretary. It was good to get to Westminster under in Whitehall under the shadow of Big Ben, and make all our points, and fantastic points that the other groups were making. But that was, I managed to get that point into him, that because you would turn up. I like to think from John O'Groats to Land's End, we could start a movement where on all those places that aren't getting reporting, or there's a monopoly, that there will be somebody turning up. Not send us your photos, etc., etc. Did you see it? No, a journalist turns up. And so we shall see. Thank you.